Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the TuVues podcast. Got another great topic for y'all today. Just remember, it's two views from identical faces. We just happy to be with y'all again today. I know it's been a little short hiatus for us, but we want to we think it's important that we bring the topic that we have for you today as our kids are returning back to the education setting. So I'm Dr. Davis.
I'm Kev G in the
Yeah,
building. What's up, man? Glad to be back with y'all again on another episode, number 25, man. We're a quarter of 100, man. We number
yeah.
25, man. We rolling a little bit. We don't put out
Yes, sir.
podcasts 2 times a week, 3 times a week like everybody else, but when we do, it's full of information. So
Yeah, you can just guarantee we got something to talk about. That's why we on.
for sure.
All
Oh
right, y'all
man,
know what time it is. Y'all know how we start off. We're gonna go ahead and start off with y'all with our first segment, which y'all know as Kev G top of five. What you got for us, man?
here we go, man. Since we're gonna talk about education and getting back to the school process and all that, we're gonna go with me and Keith's top 5 high school moments of all time, or high school events, engagements of all time. Our top 5 high school things that made us happy, pretty much. I mean, what events, or that could be event, sporting event, homecoming, whatever. Top 5 things in high school that we appreciated and we think back on, so we're gonna go with that. So you're gonna go
All right,
first,
I'm gonna
man.
let you jump it off, man. I jumped off the last one. I'm gonna let you jump it off.
You did not jump off the last one because I started because we was
Yes, I.
with Charles, bro. No, you didn't. I started. I remember saying
Oh
I went
yeah, because we
first.
started.
Yeah.
Still, you gonna go first today too. Go, man.
All right, man. So I got one honorable mention, man. My honorable mention is all the beautiful people and friends we met in high school, man. Everybody
Yes,
we met,
sir.
those lifelong friendships we met or we created with people in high school. People think it's weird when I said, man, my opinion, high school is probably the funnest time of my life. People say college,
It
high
is
school. We,
mine.
we had a blast in high school, man. For me,
Mhm.
some people didn't have that experience, but we made it enjoyable. So that's my honorable mention. Shout out to the class of '02, man. I mean, big ups. My number 5 is, and people gonna think this strange because they don't know really much about it, but sloppy joes after wrestling tournaments, bro. Bro, if you ever wrestle, man, you know how long those tournaments could be. And all you eat is peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and orange and bananas, whatever,
Bananas.
throughout the day, right? Well, you'll be so wore out, man. We would be wore out, man. Come home, mom done made them sloppy joes and them chips, man. You put them chips on that sloppy joe. If you want the cheese, add cheese to it, man. Eat that sloppy joe and go sleep for the rest of the night until we had to go out and hang out.
Good.
Be out, bro. Sloppy joe, man. It was like a slice of heaven, bro. Tell me I'm lying about the sloppy joes, bro.
You ain't lying though,
Tell
bro.
me,
You ain't
sloppy
lying at all.
joe,
Sloppy you have the rest of me.
fire, bro.
Heaven.
That's my
That was
5,
like a
man.
filet mignon.
For sure, man. That's my 5. My 4 is our meetups at Landmark. Hanging out with the people at Landmark, going up there, bowl a little bit, or just kick it at Landmark and just chill. That's where everybody met up in Peoria. Back in the day when it wasn't too rowdy. Right now, it's wild. They wilding out. But Landmark meetups was my number 4. I love meeting up with the fellas, just hanging out. He was caked up by the time, so he really. I digress. My number 3
I had to go there.
My number 3 would be pep rallies, bro. Like our pep rallies, man, was something special. Even those what do we do? Like those the last day, what they call those? The last hour of the day was like a event.
The buyouts.
The buyouts, bro. The buyouts is dope too. But the pep rallies, man, our pep rallies always had a little bit of energy to it, man. And my number 2 is part of the reason why it always had that energy, man. So my number 2 is gonna be, I put on my list here, I put the horse. But all in all, man, it was the band, bro. It's our drum line, our band. That's my number 2, man. It was something about, especially playing football, man, to be in that locker room and you hear that horse playing, and then that bass and snare part drop. Man, something about that beat. It was just game time, bro. It was just mentally, it was a switch for me. I turned that on, man, and I was ready to go out on that field and create some havoc. And my number one, which probably definitely ain't gonna be key number one, but lights off pregame. Lights off pregame before football games. I don't know why. Something about the lights off, like our coaches did this thing where before we headed to the bus, they turned off all the lights in the locker room and everybody had to be quiet and focus and think about the game. And something about that for me, it just put me in this calm space because I was already hyper ready to go, but it made me just start focusing on what my task was and just calming down, man, and just get mentally solid. Man, so them lights off, man, those pregame lights off, those my number one in high school, man. I love that time, just that calm. And I do that till this day. Like I'll shut everything off in the house and just sit in calmness, right? Because it does something for you mentally to do that. So I still do that in my personal life. So that's my number one. So five was Sloppy Joe's, four was the landmark meetups. My three was a pep rally. Four was our band and the horse, and then my number one was pregame lights off.
Yeah, I got to give it to you on pre-games like lights off. I didn't even think about that, but man, that was lock in time. That was let me focus on the task at hand. I could think about something different after we shower up and go home after the game. But that lights off was that was the switch flip. Yeah, I didn't even think about putting that on my list, but yeah, I gotta say that's one of that is probably one of the most things I remember the most about high school, especially when it came to football. Was man that sitting in that dark thinking or even listening to some DMX and just locking in.
Then that light come
That
on,
that was a power that was a
game
powerful
time.
moment for me. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even think about that. But that's a good one. All right, let me jump off mine. Mine are except for my honorable mention. Mine are a little more broader and a little more probably yeah. I wouldn't say selfish because this is about us, but so my honorable mention, man, and you gonna remember this: the Egg Wars. I think the Egg
Oh,
Wars was one of the best time. Do you realize there was one day where we went and bought every single egg from Kroger just to go have an egg war, and egg up each other cars and throw eggs at each other, and it all stopped with the class of 2023 or it was 2024 going to tell coach. But that the egg
20.
wars was
You
fun
mean
because that became like
2004?
yeah 2004 2003
Mm-hmm.
one of those graduating classes, man. But when it told on it, but between the egg wars and the water wars, man, it was a community thing, man. Like it
Yeah.
went from being us at school having a wars to the community having water wars and egg wars. So that was just a fun time. So that's my honorable mention. And so you said I think when you first started off you said positive things. I got mine is a negative and it's a negative and a positive for me both. Right. And so my number five is the playing Sterling High School in football. Um the reason why that's my number five, that's one thing I'll never forget for two reasons. First of all, that was a game we shouldn't have lost. We should have been in the semifinals of the state playoffs that year. We went up at halftime big and let them storm all the way back and beat us, man. I don't know what happened. We started inner fighting in the second half. We imploded. Sterling was not meant to beat us. We imploded on ourselves. And so, but for the good part of that is that's when I got the debut, truly debut in a state playoff game. My skill because Kevin wasn't paying attention, and coach was calling him to go in the game because we had an injured linebacker. Donald Willihill was injured, and Kevin wasn't paying attention. So I was like, Coach, I'll go in. So I went in. Two plays later, I had a quarterback sack. I mean
So my
that's when
shine, man.
my leg. Yeah, that's I stole Kevin Shine. That was my legacy. Kevin was down there talking to James McQuarrie. Cause I was like, Coach, I go. I went in and play a strong side linebacker and got a sack. So it's a positive and a negative for me because there was no way we should have lost that game. I know Josh probably on the other side of this laughing because he was playing for Sterling at that time. But anyway, that's my five. My four is English class with Mr. Rentz. I think Mr. Rentz is one of the
man.
most underappreciated teachers in Manual High School history. The things we learned from Mr. Rentz, the joy we had of going to his class and learning the curriculum that he was giving us was you couldn't measure it. And so I just want to give a shout out to him. That's my number four. That was probably one of my favorite classes to go to was English with Mr. Rentz. And I don't think I'm the only person that think that. Right? I think most people who took Mr. Rentz as a teacher would say that
Yeah,
was
he
one
was
of their
dope.
favorite classes.
He was dope.
And it was from the not just he was because he was fun. He was fun, but he wanted us to learn about stuff like ancient Greece and Rome.
He was passionate
He would
about
bring
it
us
though.
back
He was
passionate
passionate.
about it. So he that's my number four. My number three is man, Kevin. I'm surprised you ain't had this on yours at all. Man, that
What?
first period orchestra class, man.
Yeah,
Hey, that
man.
first period orchestra
Bro.
class, we were the most hood, I would say ghetto orchestra in the game, but we could play
We
and
could
we
play
just
though.
had fun at first period.
We
We
could
just
play.
had fun. I'll never forget the time we was doing all them solos. And everybody had
Mm.
a solo. All his first and second chairs had a solo. And Kevin was like, hey, watch this. And Miss Glasscock up there just conducting. And she get the Kevin solo. Buddy just
um,
start playing a Jurassic Park theme song.
bro, it went
And
with
we
the
all looked
song
to
though,
start
bro.
dying laughing.
It,
It went with the
bro, it
cadence.
went with it, bro. It was
It went with
perfect,
the
bro.
beat. But man, the way Miss Glasscock looked up at Kevin, she didn't even stop conducting. She just let him play it though. It was
Oh
hilarious.
man.
But and I used to always get kicked out of class because Kevin could do no wrong. Kevin could do no wrong, but I do one thing. Keith, get out. I'm like, all right, man.
Man, rest in peace, Miss
But
Glasscock,
rest in peace.
man.
Yeah, rest in peace, Miss Glasscock. She's still one of the all-time greats. We
Big
had
up
fun, and
Miss
thank you for
Miss
making orchestra fun.
Yeah, big up Mr. Schiefling too, man. He made us good though.
Yeah, Mr. Schiefling. Yeah, Mr. Schiefling, man. You got to think about it. Our how good we were due to the focus and attention that Mr. Schiefling had on us. He
Yeah,
didn't play with us. We became great players through Mr. Schiefling. We had fun with Miss Glasscock, but Mr. Schiefling made us. I was just man, he made
good
us the
man.
great players we were.
Yeah.
And so just big shout out to Mr. Schiefling because we wouldn't have been the orchestra players we were or would have continued with the program if it wasn't for him. And I know I think he at Richwoods now, but big ups to him.
Mm.
Number two, I'm surprised you didn't get this, the 2001-2002 Manual High School wrestling team. I've never been a part of a team that was so much of a brotherhood
Yeah.
than that wrestling team. We did everything together. We did everything together, man. And I know we're not close as we used to be. But man, that wrestling team, that was family. That was family for 2 years. That 2001 and 2002 school year. We were family. And so that's my number two, man. I'll never get the
BJ,
times that I
Diddy,
spent
Pat, LeVar, Matt,
Matt,
Ed, man.
Eddie,
Yeah.
man, Ruben, like that was the
Everybody, bro.
crew. Like that was the crew. And so I think of all of the sports at Manual High School, even though it's probably one of the most not recognized sports, even though it was one of the best in that school year, I think we was the closest knit. And those are my boys for 4 years in high school. So that's my number two. And my number one goes back to my number five. Nothing will ever surpass the legacy of the 1998-1999 football was no, I'm sorry, 1999-2000, right?
Yeah.
Football team. Man, your high
Yeah,
school
2000.
football
Yeah.
team. Now we was undefeated and we lost until we lost to Sterling, but the athleticism, the leadership, the fun we had playing with that group of players, man, and being undefeated in football was amazing. I
Yeah,
still
man.
think that is one of the greatest football teams in Manual High School history.
If
The
not the history
talent
of
was
Peoria, bro.
ridiculous.
If not the
Yeah,
history of
in the history,
Peoria,
it was
because
ridiculous.
man, me and you, we backed up two of the best linebackers ever come out of Peoria. I mean, DT and Donna
Yep.
Willingham. Like we backed them up. Like you know how arrogant I was playing the ball. I didn't mind backing them two linebackers. I never minded backing up, bro. They were the two
Mm-hmm.
most dominant
Yeah.
linebackers besides me and you. Let me put that out there. Two of the most
Yeah.
dominant
Yeah. Put that
linebackers
out
I
there.
rest in peace, DT man. I'm like it is what it is. That team was solid. I mean, Terrence Tutt was
That whole
ridiculous.
team, man. Tut is one of
Jerron
the most dynamic
Hobson,
football players that made.
Hot.
And I just don't think Terrence Tuck gets the credit he deserves for what he did those 2 years, right? Like the dude is one of the best running backs and one of the best cornerbacks in Peoria history,
Well,
without a doubt.
I don't think
But
Jerron.
that but that team,
I don't think Jerron Hobson get his props. I don't think Corey Burnside get his props, man. Like
yeah,
Jamal
Corey
Jowers don't
Burnside,
get his props. Like, bro, that team was solid, bro. That team was solid,
and,
solid,
and,
bro.
and we went against teams where they said this man, you're not going undefeated. They lost one game the year before. They got to go up against Richwoods. They got to go. Pekin was becoming a dynasty that year. Richwoods was dynasty. Even our playoff run, and man, we ran through all them like butter.
Butter,
Like
bro.
that team was legit. That's my number
Solid,
one.
bro.
I will never forget the 1999 football team and how solid it was. So for me, it's the Sterling that lost to Sterling, Mr. Rent's orchestra, that wrestling team when we took over as captains, and that 1999 football team. That year made everything special. It made all the rest of the sports special. It made homecoming special. It made everything was special that year. Like it'll live forever in here. My sophomore year of high school will live forever in here because of how special that year was, and it started with that football team. So
Especially
that's
when
my
we,
top five.
especially when we beat Pontiac. That was the start of
Oh
people
yeah, that
taking
Pontiac one was
notice.
huge.
People started taking notice.
Yeah, Pontiac was picked to beat us. Pekin was picked to beat us. Richwood was picked to beat us, and we went through them like butter.
Yeah, man. Shout out to that squad, man.
So
Especially
shout
especially
out to 1999 that squad.
the seniors that year for sure, man. Like for side, they still all solid dudes, man. So that's what's up.
That squad need to be in the Peoria Hall of Fame.
They need to be recognized somehow.
Just saying.
Even if Manual got to do it themselves, that squad needs to be recognized.
Yeah,
Not just because we was a part
agreed.
of it, because that team was just special, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a top five,
There we
man.
go.
Bro, for sure, man. Like we want y'all to do your top five, man, of y'all special experiences in high school too, man. If you had them, right? Because not everybody experience was the best, but I'm pretty sure you can find five things where you was like, man, I remember that time. That time was dope. I mean, so yeah, do your top five or your top five high school things that you appreciated and loved, man. We're gonna jump into
Yeah.
this next segment. Y'all know what it is, man. The favorite, the funny, sometimes not. Dr. Davis's dad jokes. Dr. Davis's dad jokes. Now, this dude's supposed to make me laugh, man. Um, if you know me, I typically don't smile or laugh. I do nowadays, I do, but I didn't used to smile and laugh a
Now I
lot. But
do.
um, but he supposed to make me laugh. Last episode was pretty decent, man. Time before that was rough. Let's see what he got for us today, man. How many you got for us today, anyway?
I got three, and they're gonna be three quick ones. I hope I
All
get you to
right,
laugh at least one on. Let me go for this,
all
man.
right. Hold on, let me
All right,
prepare.
Kevin. Here you go. Here you go. Number one. Okay.
All right.
When is a door not a door? When is a door not a door? When it's a jar.
No,
All right.
no, no.
Okay. All right. Why do chicken coops have two doors? Why do chicken coops have two doors, bro?
I don't know why,
Because if they have four doors, they'll be chicken sedans.
bro. That was stupid. That was stupid.
All
Stupid.
right, all right. My last one, bro. Did you know? Did you know? French
Do you
fries
mind?
weren't actually cooked in France. Did you know French fries weren't actually cooked in France? Where do you think it was cooked in?
Grease.
Greece.
That was kind of obvious, bro.
What you laughed at it?
Oh,
All
Okay,
right, man.
man.
I'll take
I
two out of
give
three. I'll take
I
two
give
out
you
of three.
no, I give you 1 out of 3 on that, bro. I give you 1 out of 3
One,
on that
you
one.
laughed at the last one.
I knew
That's
the
man.
answer. I knew the
Write
answer
down in the
to it though.
comments.
I knew
It
the
don't
answer
matter,
to
but you
it though.
laughed though. But you laughed though. It don't matter. Write down if
Oh,
that should
okay.
count. Write down in the comments if y'all think that should count for Kevin.
The sedan one was okay. It wasn't horrible. It was okay. That was okay. I had to think.
I remember
I
that
had to.
meme. I can't. I still can't stop thinking about that meme a man sent. It said they think girls look like animal crackers.
You stupid. All right, man. That's Dr. Davis's dad jokes, man. I'll give him a 2 out of 3 on that, man. I'll give him a 2 out of 3 on that. It's a iffy 2 out of 3, but I'll give him 2 out of 3. The first one was good. The first one was good. All right, so that's Dr. Davis's dad jokes.
It
Y'all
was
rate him,
rational.
man. Y'all rate him, man. Give him what out of 3 he earned on that, man.
All
Cool.
right, I'll take
You
it.
ready? You ready to roll in this episode for real? For real?
Let's get it roll. This is an important one for me. As an educator.
Yeah. So this topic we this topic we're airing this here in August, the beginning of August, and we know this is time everybody start going back to school, whether that's grade school, high school, college. It's time where things start ramping up and people are getting prepared. Some of y'all kids are already in school, right? Some of y'all started early. Peoria started super early now. It's kind of weird.
Wait a second.
Yeah, Caleb doesn't start until the 20th or something like that, 21st, something like that.
Yeah, KJ and them on the 16th, and I start the 10th.
Yeah, so we just want to do a podcast about education and parents' involvement in it, right? And how we as parents, and not just parents, but anybody, if you're associated with a kid in a school, how we can support not only them but also teachers in the schools and helping the process be a lot smoother. So we just want to have this discussion to give parents some insight on what they could do and how they could proceed in the school year to make it comfortable for themselves, for their kids, and for administration. So for Keep, man, we're gonna start out since you the principal, you're the educator. This is your thing, this is your wheelhouse. Me, it's not mine. How about that? I just feel like that. But
Mhm.
you know the background and history on this. So what is the state of the education system here in America? Where are we right now in America pertaining
Yeah,
to
so
our kids and our values when it comes to the education system?
I'll be quick on this because I talked a little bit about this on Jermaine's podcast about how the history of how our American education system was set up, but more about this. But when we talk about the state of education, understand that that the education system is a state right, right? So state has true dominion over the educational processes of itself. And then so the federal government uses its executive powers to create the Department of Education and do whatever its control or legalese towards education. But but the power, I just want to just reiterate that, let families know that the true power of education and where the direction of education is in the public. It's in the hands of the public. It's in the hands of you. That your voice, even though we don't think it's matter, we always think about federal politics. One of the things people always say is our voice don't matter, but your voice matters on a local level, and your voice on the local level affects policy on the local level, and it affects education on the local level and the state level. And so the state of our education is that we don't have enough of us, the public, speaking on the behalf of our children. It's becoming less and less. All right, and so it's important that our voices are heard with our politicians, with our state legislatures about what we believe our kids need to be successful. I also believe that we shouldn't be grading our schools. We should be grading our states on this ability to attack our educational issues within our state. It shouldn't be states grading the schools. Let's grade our state and seeing if it's providing the resources and necessary policies to affect the changing of our kids' lives. And we got to remember, this is we so often in a lot of the things in our world right now is politics is becoming a foundation of everything we do. And we got to get back to where the foundation of education is our kids, right? It's not teachers, it's not the staff, it's not the politician, it's not you as a parent, it's our kids, right? It's that next generation of white collar and blue collar workers who are going to make sure that this world is great for us and continues to be great for us year after year. We know America's education system is diminishing when it's compared to some of the other world powers. We know that, but our voice can change that. Our voice in speaking up and saying what's best for our kids. We do a lot of complaining, but not willing to do what's necessary to push the change. Get on a school board, to go to school board meetings, to go to be a part of the PTA, to do what's necessary to say, hey, I'm here. I want to be heard. I have a voice and so the state of our education it's falling on a political fight, and it should never be that way. It should be fall on a landscape of what's best for kids. I'm telling you one thing. We'll talk about. We'll get into some of the things that are not work for kids, but we have to be willing to go to go to whatever links we need to make sure that those who are over the systems that govern the education of our kids know what we believe and what we want for our kids. Right now, we see in Florida some of the legal legislation and the attacks on education and what our students are learning. And our political systems are getting so strong. This is happening here in Texas as well. You see a lot of book bannings. You have a lot of discussion about banning different avenues of education um, because of people's feelings, basically. Um, but we got to remember, education starts at home, and I think we got to get to a point, Kev, where we let our kids be our kids. Like we let our kids be kids. We let them learn and explore lives for themselves, and we do what we were meant to do as parents and just guide them. Um, and not we can affect the education system without controlling our kids' lives. And I think we just need to get to the point to where we need to allow our kids to to dig into their own well of intellect, right? They're not going to learn the same way we learn. And the state of our world right now in education is that we want our kids to learn how we learn, or how we expect them to learn, and not giving our kids the ability to learn what they believe they need to know. Right. It's all about emancipated learning. And I wrote a paper on this about giving our kids the ability to dive into their own well of intellect. What we want to do so often is we want to control what intellect they retrieve. Right. And that's what you see in a lot of these policies. You see a control of what we want our kids to learn, but a lot of it currently is at the detriment of the learning of our kids, and that's politics. But politics will always have that stronghold if we don't start using our voice.
Yeah,
It's
and
that
so
simple.
you're saying it from a politics side, but what about you said we try to control um how our kids learn. But there's two avenues to that, I think, and I might be wrong, but there's parents that try to control, and there's parents that aren't involved at all, that's not trying to do anything, right? And so I think the extreme either way is detriment can be detrimental to a kid. A parent that's not
Yes.
fully involved and not doing much and letting the kid do whatever to learn doesn't is not really engaged with where their kids learning what they should be learning, how they should be learning, whether it's their
Hmm.
way or not. Then you have parents that's so involved that they're trying to tweak and change the way things are learned and taught, because they think, like you said, we were taught that way, and that we so there's like a there has to be a balance between the two somehow, right? There has to be some type of balance between, yeah, I'm gonna let my kid learn the way they learn, but I still have to be somewhat hands on to make
You have the
sure
guy. That
they're learning, right? They're actually learning.
yeah.
Like they're not just doing whatever they want. They're actually learning this stuff. So there's a there can be a negative on both sides of the spectrum. I think we have to
Correct.
find that middle point, and that's not always easy to do. It's not always easy to do because you don't want to be too aggressive with your kid and their learning. You don't want to be too passive, and somehow you have to find that
Correct.
balance. But I think the only way to find that balance is with your kid, like between with you and the kid together,
Yeah.
figuring out what that balance is.
Yeah, you
Um,
correct, and there's two sides to the spectrum. Like anything, like we got to find that balance. That's what I stated about guiding. Like it's we can guide their learning, right? And you saw some of the fear and some of the roadblocks with learning that we're starting to see is we have that political piece, but what we're starting to see now is parents being afraid of the curriculum, right? And you hear everybody talk, and you see a lot of people saying like, I don't even know how to do the math they doing now. So let me explain what the new curriculum is doing, and maybe this help parents out. I am a firm believer as an educator, the way we did math is the quickest and the most efficient way to do math. It is. So why did we revert to these new techniques to teach kids how to do math? And the truth of the matter is I think kids should learn both ways. This is my opinion. I think kids should learn both ways. But the reason why we're moving into a world where kids are being asked to be very analytical, to be able to think critically. And so what these new math strategies and these new English strategies are doing is forcing our kids to use critical thinking skills, which they'll need in a lot of the emerging job markets that are coming out now. And so it's forcing critical thinking through our kids through the areas of math, science, because typically when you think about critical thinking, it usually comes through a ELAR class, English language arts and reading class, right? But now it's forcing these thought processes through all subject areas. Now, does it make how slow the speed in which our kids are able to do math? Does it slow it down a little bit? Yeah, we're seeing that, right? But it's also creating thinkers and kids who can think through situations, not only just math problems or reading problems or science problems, but think through situations. So I don't want parents to be afraid of this new curriculum. I just want them to know that it's giving our kids avenues to think and push them to think. So the best thing you can do as a parent to quell your fear of, and I'm gonna push this out. I'm gonna say this to. I'm not even talking to the parents right with what I'm going to say. I'm talking to school districts. The best way you can alleviate parents' fear over the curriculum is create parent universities where you're teaching parents the purpose of the curriculum, right? We need to create avenues for our parents to learn a curriculum. We can't just say our kids are learning about this math strategy and not giving our parents any knowledge of that strategy, but expecting them who've never done this strategy to sit at a kitchen table and show them how to do it. So I'm urging districts to create parent universities where we're teaching all the aspects of our curriculum to our parents so that they can be helpful to our kids when they're at home. So we can't let the politics control us, but we also can't be afraid of the school system and a curriculum.
all right, so real quick question before we move on. So we know I have a son with autism, right? And I want to talk about special education real fast. Not don't spend
Mhm.
too much time on it, but as you talk about curriculum, when it comes to kids with special needs, like let's just stay on that math topic real quick. That math teaches critical thinking. Like you said, it has a critical thinking as component to it. I believe with my son, that style of teaching math is not going to be beneficial for him because him processing that and learning math that way, the time it will take him to truly get that concept would take away from him actually learning the math, right? Um, how do you tell people with kids with learning disabilities or in special education that this is the new curriculum? And I know special education teachers are supposed to modify, there's modifications and things that they are to do based on IEPs, 504, whatever. There's things they're supposed to do, but how do you work that as a principal? How do you work that out? Like I know you communicate with probably your special education teachers or your directors or whatever. How how does that curriculum have to change for that, or does it have to change?
I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. I think it's very beneficial to him to learn that way because he's learning a skill that transcends math, right? It could take him forever to learn a strategy or a concept, right? But he's learning a integral skill for him to navigate life, and that's critical thinking. So, so even though he
But I
may struggle with learning that, yeah,
no, I'm just saying
good,
personally for me, when you say that, I think his critical learning can be learned elsewhere, right? I don't
right,
think
but,
time needs to be spent in math. That's just me.
so I'm a further disagree because if you don't, so the way kids, you want to way kids learn the best is when there's cross curricular learning, when they can, and when they're able to tie what they're learning into other pieces of curriculum or their lives, right? So here's and this is a parent issue, and this is a parent and a teacher issue. We want kids to learn in a vacuum at a certain speed and understand the concept. There's a school, I forgot where it's at, where kids get to learn. They have graduated doctors, lawyers, biophysicists, one of the top performing schools in the nation. And guess what they don't have? They don't have classes. They don't have a bell system because kids are able to learn at their speed. There was a boy, he would go out to their pond and he would fish every day. And one day he decided, I want to learn more about those fish, and became like a bioscience. So what we so he was able to. So I'm not that's a little far on the extreme, right? But learning how to critically think in math will strengthen him in the other subject areas because he'll be able to create use those critical thinking skills and somewhere he struggle. Now, this is what makes education to me the most difficult job in the world, right? And this makes it even more difficult for a special education teacher. Is that if I have a class of 25 students in the general ed class, or if I have 11 students in special ed class, I have to literally differentiate my instruction for every individual student. People think that's only for special education, but those gen ed teachers are literally having to figure out how can I meet all the learning modalities of every kid individually in this room, right? One of the key pieces to help them to help them with that process and help kids understand strategies in their own way is to develop the critical thinking skills. Now they can learn that math strategy. It may take little buddy to learn that math strategy. It may take him a week, and it may take this kid over here one day. But he's still going to be learning critical thinking skills. At the end of the day, they both know that skill. So we also had to stop putting. This is why I'm not a fan of testing. I'm not. This is my opinion, and a fan of putting time on when a kid should know and learn something because of about because they may be missing out on a valuable skill. So I would say, even though you think it may be used best used that time, a best used to learning critical thinking in other ways, he's going to have the ability to he's going to have the ability to critically think in math, and that's something we didn't have. Our math was rotary. It was 2 plus 2 is 4. And so there was no critical thinking. And you know what? I told me as a person who loved math, I hated word problems because word problems made me critically think. I didn't have the capacity to critically think, but I can do any math, do trigonometry, I can do all of it. Give me a word problem, up, shutting down. So we want to use math to teach critical thinking. We want to use English to teach critical thinking. We want social studies to teach critical thinking. Those are valuable skills that like I said, will transcend the strategies and the concepts because he'll be able to use that in life. So he's not
Yeah,
losing out on anything.
I get what you're saying, but I get what you're saying. I don't disagree with you, but knowing him and knowing his attention span and knowing how he ticks. I mean,
That,
Caleb
but
learns
that,
so fast. He learns fast, right? He learns fast, but some
yeah,
things when it comes to critical thinking, he struggles with the critical thinking aspect.
but here's the thing, Kevin. You just said something very key. You said something very key, and this was actually my motto for my school 2 years ago. You said he struggles with the critical thinking aspect. You know what my motto was for my school 2 years ago? The learning is in the struggle. That's where the learning happens.
No, I
Let him
don't
struggle.
disagree with that. That's
So that's what I'm saying. So
easier said than done.
it's no, it's definitely easier said than done, and that's why I say teaching is still one of the most difficult professions because we have to allow 25 kids per class learn through the struggle. You know how stressful that is for a teacher, like not being able to move on, not knowing where to go next. But we know that our students learn in the struggle. Just think about all everybody's favorite movies. Lean on Me, Freedom Riders. Those kids learn through the struggle. That's how their learning came. It came through them struggling with the curriculum. It came to struggling with society, and so we want our kids to struggle. He's going to struggle. He may have a low attention span, but that's why it's important for the teacher to be able to differentiate and know. Okay, Caleb has he's getting unfocused now, so let me go to something else, and then we can revisit it tomorrow. We can revisit that another lesson later today. So that's why teachers are superheroes, man. The things that we have to do on a daily basis, the moves we have to make on a daily basis are phenomenal, and people never get to see that. But let them. I want to tell parents out there and let teachers out there let them struggle. Let the kids struggle. My boy Demarcus, shout out to him. But when I used to observe him in his math classroom, man, he was like, hey, it's 100 or bust. Like he didn't want the kids to settle for a C. It's like we gonna pass all these standards and we gonna struggle doing it, but we gonna get it. We need to let our kids struggle. We gotta let them struggle, and that's why his scores were so dynamic.
Yeah. So man, let's get to the meat of this podcast. Because we wanted to um give parents some things to consider, some things to walk away with where they can engage with schools, their kids, the district to help benefit their child's development. So um
Mhm.
let's talk about first let's talk about how parents should hold who they should hold accountable and how they should hold them accountable. So let's start from the top. Let's start with the top. Let's start with districts. Let's start with the district. How should parents hold the district accountable? Districts, teachers, what does that look like? How does that work?
Let's start at the top and see you. And I think it's very critical. I think it's very important that you started where you started. You said district. And I think it's very important that you said that first because that's not the top, right? In a district, that's not the top. Your district personnel, your super that's not the top. You have you have elected school board officials who are elected to fight for your interest in your school district. That's where you start. A lot of people like to go to the super. No, let me change that. Matter of fact, let me. Can I flip it?
Go ahead.
Because I want to talk about this, but I want to flip the structure. So when you talk about where the top is, it starts with your school board because they're the ones that you elected to fight for the best interest of your kids. That's why going to school board meetings, um, talking to your elected school board officials, letting them know, going to um, community events where they're talking about what's happening in the school is very important, so that you're educated on what's happening in your school, and that you can go and talk to those officials about what you're seeing and what you would like to see and what they're seeing. But a lot of people like to jump to the top, right? If you haven't if you want to know something or learn something, the best place to go first It's the foot soldiers, the teachers, right? The teachers are the ones who are directly and direct in position to address your needs for your student, right? But you gotta understand this is a hard job, so you gotta go in there with the heart and compassion, knowing that they are working hard to make sure your kid gets the best possible education possible. But you start with the teacher, right? Because when you go to the top, let me just explain to people how this works. When you go to the straight to the top and like get mad about something and go straight to the board or straight to the superintendent, guess what it does? It's gonna come back down. Every time there's an issue, I get a call. Hey, Dr. Davis, got this upset parent. Can you give him a call? Upset parent. Okay, I'm gonna go to the teacher and say, hey, what's going? Start with the person that has a direct contact with whatever issue or concern you have. Right? Start there. Start with the teacher. And then if you can't get a resolution there, then go up. You need to go up the chain rather than what we see now is people go straight to the top. I'm going to the board. I'm going to the superintendent. That's not going to get you anywhere but spending more time getting the answer because they're going to have to come down to us to find out what's going on in the situation, and then it's going to have to go back up that chain when you should just follow that chain and you probably get whatever answer you need or whatever you need addressed at the school level. So start at the school level and then go up the chain rather than going to the top. But remember that those school board officials are elected by you. You elected them. You elected them to do a job to ensure your kid was getting the best possible education that they can receive. And it's their job to hold the superintendent accountable. And it's the superintendent's job to hold their cabinet and their departments accountable. It's your department's job to hold us as principals accountable, and so on and so forth. So if you want to know where the power is at in the school, it's with your school board. And so many people think it starts with the district office. It does not. It starts with the school board. But
Yeah.
start with your teachers first. I'm pretty sure we can handle it at the building level. All right, we not out to get your kid. We want to see your kids succeed.
Yeah, but also with that though, there's a two other levels to that process, and I want you to talk about. Well, I'm just gonna jump to one that's important directly for me is um parents. I think the next step, parents, actually after Key said the teachers, then you go up there. I think the next spot, which I think is actually the foundation, is you. You have to look at you. You have
Mm-hmm.
to really, before you worried about what the district can do and what your teachers are doing, how are you helping? If you're not,
Yep.
that's a pet peeve of mine, Keith, man, is that parent that like even when I was coaching, I wasn't even in the school, man. See parents come up snapping on teachers and all that, but that parent ain't involved in nothing going on with that kid. When it comes and tell that kid say something wrong, then they run up to school and want to fight or argue with the teacher. Like you're not involved in any part of the process. But as soon as your kid say something wrong, you run up there and you want. This isn't the same scenario. Like, but I had an issue with Kiera, and it's still funny till this day. Kiera come home one day, and she was like, "The principal being mean to me. He being mean to me." I'm like, "Man, he doing this and this," and I'm like, I'm heated. Like, man, why he treating her like that? I said, "I'm going up to school tomorrow. Go up to the school, Key. I mean, I need to talk to the principal." Kiera saying he picking on her, blah blah blah, da da. He sit down. We talk. He's like, "What's going on?" We start talking. Key, this man, what he told me, I didn't get that from her.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the whole story. I didn't, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here defending you, and you ain't telling me the full story, right? And she come down and like he sit down, we talking, she sitting there and like yeah, and he said I actually took her. I'm actually on her to pull her because I know who she's hanging around with, and I don't want her hanging around with those people. So I'm trying to get her away from that. But what I got at home was he's man. So what I'm saying, parents, is you have to be particularly involved with the whole aspect
Mm-hmm.
of things, and not just with, because a lot of parents do that. Like what your kids say, they take that as 100%, and you should listen to your kids wholeheartedly. But I personally believe in life in general. There's two sides to a story. And when you put them stories
Mm-hmm.
together, you might find you might find the truth or find the real story. So I like hearing both sides. And I just said, parents, like, you have to be involved. You have to hear both sides, man. You have to.
And you're so right. I want to give parents a little this is a little Keith math, a little Keith percentage. 95% of the teachers that your child interact with love your kid like they're their own.
Yep.
95%. What they're doing is holding your kid accountable to expectations, to expectations of academic expectations, to social emotional and peer expectations, to school expectations, to world expectations. And some of our kids just simply don't want to hear that or abide by that. And what first thing we do is we run to jump to their defense. I had a situation kind of like the occasion. I had to say, "Hey, nope, we're not running up there. We're gonna let the teacher handle it." Like 95% of the teachers truly love and care for your child as much as you do. Well, I'm not saying as much, but they love your child a lot and just want to hold them accountable. So when you go up to talk to that teacher about whatever situation is, I think a lot of times we go up there, and I'm saying this as a parent as well. We go up there on a mission. We go up there to defend. Oh, you even oh, my baby said this. Let me go. And it, like Kevin said, it could be the complete different story. We had a parent that a kid did something that warranted a suspension, and the parent got mad because we gave like by district policy, the kid should have been suspended. We gave him a lunch detention. He was mad about the lunch detention. I mean, we love y'all kids, and we want them to know that their expectations in life, and we're going to hold you accountable to that because we don't want you to go at God in the real world and not have any accountability, and then ruin your life. And so
Yeah.
just know that, parents, just know we care. We care, and we're not out to get your kid. We out to educate them, both social, emotionally, and academically. Um, and so you just remember that way. Just know that teachers have a lot on their plate, and at the end of the day, they still love their child unconditionally.
Yeah, there's a saying in football, parents, that I think will apply here too, with this what we're talking about right this moment. We say that it says, well, we coach, and we say it, we've heard it said to us. We say, if a coach is talking to you, then he cares. You need to worry when he's not talking to you. So if a
Mm-hmm.
teacher is talking to your kid and on your kid and trying to get him to do the right thing, that's a good thing. If a teacher's not on your kid and not pushing him to be his best, then you should worry. Because then at that time, maybe they don't care. But if a teacher, man, if a teacher on my son, like they want him to do great and they push them, and they, I'm not going to fight that at all as a parent, man. I'm not going to be like, you're too hard on my
Mm-hmm.
kid. No, I'm not going to fight that because I know you have the best for him. And I do think most teachers have the best interest for the kids they're involved with. You don't get into that job without
You
caring
can't.
about kids, man. Like, why you
No.
think I ain't no teacher, right? People say, you want to coach football, you should be a teacher. Why you think I'm not a teacher, right? It's a reason why I'm not a teacher. Like, because some of these kids do, mm, I couldn't, no, I would take personal, right? So teachers are special, man. But I also want to, before, want to get into talking about also, what should parents think about, when it comes to supporting their students in general? Like, how do we as parents support our kids through the process. Now, like we have kids going to school from grade school or pre-K or whatever through college. Every aspect, I think every aspect is level has some of the same components, but there's some different things that differentiate between each level. So let's talk about how parents can support their kids at the high school, the youth high school level, like that grade school through high school level. How can parents support their kids through this process? And really the line to truly their future, the most, to me, one of the most important lines to their future, this youth through high school time frame. So how can parents support their
Mhm.
students in this aspect?
I think you need to be in the know, right? I think you need to be like when there's school communicate. You need to know the curriculum. You need to know uh, the pacing guides that your children that show the pace of, and strategies that you're going to be learning. You need to know what state standards your kids are going to be learning at that grade level. You need to know, right? And it could be something as simple as this, Kev. Every I talked about this, I believe, on our first podcast about when we talk about fatherhood. When I get in the car and I picking my kids up every day. The first thing I ask them, tell me one thing you learned today. They're going to get that question every single day. Tell me what you learned. Give me one thing you learned today. What you learned today in math. What you learned today in reading. Give me one thing you learned today. We have to be in the know what our kids are learning so that we can support them. Because so the concept of homework is becoming obsolete. I know a lot of parents like that. You probably wonder, like, why my kid ain't come home with homework? The concept of homework is becoming less important, and it makes sense, parents. So when you're like, you don't even give homework, yeah, because the strategy of giving kids time to work through the problem in class and get feedback directly in class is way more beneficial than the homework. So that's one the way
Mhm.
you need to be in the know, right? That in class support and work is way more beneficial. But you need to be in the know because of that homework's not coming home. You have a less of a chance to see what your kids are working on. So know the curriculum. Ask your teachers about the curriculum. If they have a syllabus, get a syllabus. Go to your community literacy night. Go to your school's math night. Go to your school's STEM night so you can learn what your student is learning so that you can support them. I think that's where it starts. You have to be in the know. One of the greatest places to be in the know is in your school PTA. I guarantee those parents are in the know, right? Your school's PTA and PTOs they're in the know. But you can't. I don't want to. I also don't want parents to be afraid to contact your teacher and say, "Hey, I see Eli is struggling on this. Do you have any resources where I can support him?" Because I do that with my kids. Hey, I'm not
I
gonna
do
say,
too.
"Hey, my kid fell and why." No, I'm gonna
I do
say,
too.
"Hey, I noticed Eli is struggling on this. Do you have any resources where I can help him?" Right. So often we want to know, like, why are my kid learning that? Like, what are you not teaching them? No, no, we should be learning on. We should be trying to get to our schools to learn. And this, I'm not taking it away from the schools because schools, we need to be giving this opportunity to parents to learn what students are learning, to know what students are learning. But parents, we got to also seek out what students are learning, and so that we can support them at home. So it's about being in the know, right? You know how many emails I send out curricular pieces that sometimes people don't even read those emails, right? You have to be in the know. And if a teacher ever saying you being annoying because you're asking what kids are learning today so that you can help support, something's wrong with that teacher, right? I would welcome any parent to say, look, I want to know what the strategy where I can get more resources on the strategy to help KG at home. I would love. Oh, let me read. Let me see what our district got, so we can help you. Review some of these problems with your child at home. Be in the know so that you can support. You can't support if you don't know.
Like I literally have bought Caleb like a program. We do work outside of school. He has a program. He come home. He has to do work, math, reading, spelling. Like he doesn't just get his work at school. But on top of what you just said, I want to add a few things that are more, for me, more direct. Because what you just spoke about is about like pretty much how a parent should be involved with the school process and be engaged in the school process. But some more direct things that aren't absolutely. I mean, they are related, but like I think a parent should also understand the importance of year one and year two. But I also think they need to know the importance of year 3 and year 4 when it comes to high school, right? And I'm talking about high school directly. Um, you got to make sure your kids know how important year 1 and year 2 is at defining their GPA and how their grades affect the future aspect, especially if you know anything about math
Yeah.
and you know how averages work. Starting off strong is the most important thing to do in order to have high averages. Now you can't fall off in the back 2 years. You have to sustain in the back 2 years, but those first 2 years are critical to your cumulative GPA going forward. So parents have to understand that. And if you want to be hard on your kid, it's in those first 2 years, right? If you ever want to be on top of
Yep.
your kid the
Freshman
most,
sophomore year.
it's in the first 2 years, right? Even though the classes in the back 2 years are might be a little bit more challenging, um, like he said, that critical thinking, that critical development in those first 2 years is going to help those back two, right? So establishing knowledge and understanding the first 2 years is huge, very important. Also believe you should also start helping your kids with their goals and the decision making at this time, right? So no kid know at this time truly want to know, some do what they will do in the future, but start setting up goals and routines of how to accomplish certain goals at this point in time. I think it'd be key for you. This is outside of the school setting, right? Setting up goals for your kids or helping them establish goals in their life. And me being an accountant, I truly believe this is a time where we should start establishing financial literacy with our kids. Um, well, our parents, to be just completely honest, not bashing their generation at all, but they didn't know what they didn't know they couldn't teach. Right? If if
Hmm.
if our generation knew some of this financial literacy concepts, we wouldn't be in so much debt and living paycheck to paycheck, and we would know how to understand or try to build our credit and get things. We would that would have started early. So I believe parents are at this point in time start teaching their kids financial literacy, learning bank accounts, how to balance bank accounts, learn about debt, learn about credit, then, and how to strategically use those things to their benefit, right? And not being in too much debt and paying off debt faster. Because transparency, I have a debt that I'm probably gonna be paying off for the rest of my life. I hope not, but I have debt to where it's in the amount to where seeing where, like, man, when I can complete this is, I can see it, but it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating. So, but if I would have knew prior to getting the debt, the aspect of getting debt and what it can do and how long APRs and percentages and time frames, and then I probably made different decisions, right? So it'd be good to establish that concept in your kids at this high school age range, so where they start understanding financial literacy. I just want to throw that out there. Just want to throw that out there. And not all schools have
Yeah.
financial literacy. I really hope schools get to the concept of having a financial literacy class at all schools. I think it's pivotal and it's super important, but they got to balance that with the rest of the curriculum, right? So most schools don't have the financial literacy class.
Yeah. I agree. And but even with that and with all education, there's a thought process that the learning starts at home, right? And that's and that is true in its infancy, because as young as little kids, we learn a lot of the things, our first words, our first ABC, we learn a lot of stuff at home, and then that can trickle up down through all the educational processes or years of education through a year. And a lot of people talk about that when they talk about behaviors and mannerisms and attitudes and things like that. But the even when we dealing with a lot of these political issues with education and things that we remove it out of the education system, the learning can start at home. We still can teach our you still can teach your kids at home. There's still curricular pieces you can teach at home.
Absolutely.
Um, uh, and so just know that you have power to be an educator at home as well. um, that the things that are important to you, your family, and your culture, you still have the ability to give your kids the opportunity to learn that. There are resources, there are free resources out there to allow you to um, push some of those things that you think is important for your student to learn. So I don't want you to give up and be exhausted with the educational system. But Kevin is right. As educators, we need to bring back things like financial literacy. I think we need to continue with critical thinking. I think we need to create opportunities within our K-12 education systems for our parents to learn skills and strategies and trades, um, so that they can be in the know, right? Like for instance, here in Dallas, they have this Texas, the Dallas Promise, which kids go through this process where they can earn free tuition to a community college. But what parents don't know is that the Dallas Promise is connected to the Parent Promise. So if your kid is in Dallas Promise, you can also go take courses as a parent as well. And so, but that's not widely marketed. That's not a lot of parents don't know about it. So it's all for me. In order to move our kids, it's essential for us as parents to be in the know in every aspect of education. Right? We need to know our discipline policies. We need to know our dress code policies. We need to know our academic strands and standards and expectations and all that stuff, so that we can make informed decisions about what we're doing at home to ensure our kids are keeping up with what they need to learn and know. But we can't keep up with what we don't know. And I think that's why it's important.
Yeah, 100% agree. But I do want to tap into some real quick, because some of you out there are gonna have kids going to college, and it's important for us to also guide parents with kids going to college, because that's a whole nother monster, right? And the key thing with that concept the parent will have to deal with is that freedom, right? That freedom, and I still have no hear about financial decisions in financial decisions, because that financial literacy part doesn't stop just at high school. That's just the start. For the rest of your life, you're gonna be dealing with this financial thing. So understand if I could, and be honest with y'all, and we all know this that been to college. You know how many letters you get in the mail or emails you get about credit cards once you of age? That's why in financial decision and literacy is important, man. Like,
Correct.
mm, I got to tell people right now, I'm setting my son up to where when he's ready to go to buy to go to college or any of that type, whatever he decide to do, I'm trying to set him up to where his decision make he knows the decision making, but as a father, I want to set him up to where a lot of those things have already been put in place, right? So I think it's important for us to talk to our kids about those financial decisions that they're going to make. You might want to get those credit. You'll get a whole bunch of emails about credit cards. What are you going? You can't get all those credit cards, man. You're gonna kill your credit. You're gonna be in debt. It's a fast dropping slope. I'm telling you, we know the credit card thing is a fast dropping slope. You can get in deep real
Mm-hmm.
fast, right? Especially as a college student, you want to go out to eat, swipe. You want to do swipe, 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 swipe. You can get in debt. You can get out of control real fast. So having those conversations with your kids is important about financial decision. Not only financial decision, but the decision, your freedom decisions, right? You're finna be on your own. Talk to kids about the choices that they're making. We're hearing a lot about these football players that are high speed driving and doing crazy things, and a lot of bad decisions being made in college, right? And we know we've been in college, we made some bad decisions. It's at this point that you sit your kids down and talk to them about those decisions that they're going to make in college. Every decision has a consequence. It can be a positive consequence or a bad consequence. Sit down and think about what you're going to do and what the result will come from it. Right? Talk to kids about making those decisions, thinking clearly with sober minds before you make a decision. Not saying you shouldn't have fun. Not saying you shouldn't go to parties. But be smart about what you do. If you party more than you go to class, you got a problem. You got a serious problem here. All right. And also start planning what life after looks like, because in 4 years, 4 to 5 years, you're gonna be on your own for real, for real. Like, ain't no mommy, no daddy. You're gonna be on your Start planning what that looks like from your for entering your freshman year. I'm planning on graduating in 4 years. What does this process look like? What does like after? Where do I have to be for like after the flow the right way? When do I have to get my internships? When do I have to do certain things to position myself to graduate on time? What do I have to do? Start planning those things out early, not when you get to your junior senior year. Those things should be planned out early. Not that you have to pick a major. Not telling nobody to pick a major their first year. Take your time, but have a plan. Have a plan when you're gonna make the decision of what you're gonna be. Because like if I can go back, like I'd have made a whole bunch of. I was supposed to be an architect. I'd have made some totally different decisions, Keith. I'd have supposed to be an architect. If I could make some different decisions, I would have been an architect. I'd have been some. And that's nothing I want to say. They have to do things within their passion. Like I believe we should start talking about kids about what they're passionate about, and this should start back at the lower level, the high school, youth level. Also, follow your passion. You don't know what you'll do when you get older. Talk to your kids about what are you passionate about, and we're gonna build off that. Tell me what you like. If you like playing video games, cool. You like playing video games. You can start designing those video games. There's a lot you can do.
There's
Like
degrees for it now.
yeah, like let's start with your passion. Start with your kids' passion, and then help them try to map out what that looks like in the future. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. So, um, anything you want to say, Keith?
Yeah, before we, I know we running out of time, but before we get out of here, I do want to say one thing. College was for me. Right, I was meant to go to college. All right, that was for me. College ain't for everybody, but you know what
Nah,
is a trade. I think we need to start focusing on trade schools being a viable option for our kids too,
yeah,
just as viable as college. Right? It used to be people always like, "Oh, you going to trade school? I'm going to college." Like that was like, "Oh, a big up."
put down.
It
Yeah,
ain't
yeah,
that way no
yeah,
more.
yeah.
It's not that way no more. Trades are in. And you
Important.
can start getting certifications for trades in the college in high school and middle
Early,
school now. Your
early.
kid can start you can start getting certifications now that can earn your kids a lot of money coming straight out of high school. Working in jobs that they want to do, like Kevin said, that they have a passion for. So kids, high school kids, most of y'all college is your direction, right? But if it's not, don't stop.
Yeah,
Don't settle, because there's a ton of trades out there to do stuff that you love to do that can put you in a great place financially for the rest of your life. So I think we need to, as a community, start talking about trade schools more and not always about colleges. Um, and having our kids get industry based certifications. I think it's very important that we as families start looking at that as an opportunity for our kids as well.
yeah. And on top of that, entrepreneurship. And I'm gonna say this to everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur. It's great to be an entrepreneur if you have a plan. A lot of people, if you have a structured plan, a lot of people say, I'm an entrepreneur. What does that mean though? I do this, I do to be a successful entrepreneur, there has to be a plan put in place. You have to know who to sit in front of, how to communicate. There's certain things you got to have to have a successful entrepreneurship. Everybody, a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but don't know what it takes to be that. It looks easy to say, this is something I want to do. I'm just going to go do it. But it takes planning. It takes a process. So understand what you want to do. Learn the ins and outs of it, right? Whatever you want to do, learn the ins and outs. Know it. So when you talk to people, you know what you're talking about. You have a plan. You have a future vision of what you're trying to do. Don't just go out there and say, I just want to do this. I'm going to do it. Have a plan. In other words, educate yourself, right? Education doesn't stop
Be
there
in the
because you're an
know.
entrepreneur. Education doesn't stop because you want to do a trade. Education is one thing that's going to continue no matter what. You have to learn. You
Hmm.
have to learn. Nobody's just going to hand you something and say, run this business. No, you got to know the business.
Preach on that.
Right. So parents, we gave y'all some tasks, we gave y'all some to-dos, we gave y'all some things to think about to and we're not just giving you all these things just for you guys, and we're not implementing them ourselves, right? Because we have kids too. We have to think about these things too. This isn't something that we're just like two dudes on here to say, like, you guys need to do this. No, we're implementing this with our own kids and our own families, right? So hopefully y'all got something out of this, and hopefully um it's meat, right? It's steak and potatoes, right? It's something that's gonna stick to your bones, something that you can like eat on and digest and give you nutrients, right? And help you build your kid up to be the best that they can be, and not only them, but help you become who you want to be, right? Because some of us still are trying to find our way, also. But hopefully, this topic gets to you in time that you can start implementing these processes and thinking about them.
And scholars, good luck this year. Have a great school year. Next couple of semesters, just make sure you stay focused on the prize at hand. Um, Study, learn, know, ask questions, ask all the questions you can. But let's have a great year. And as Mr. Children used to always say, the prep, do right and kill everything.
And like Miss Hubbard used to say, no drugs, no sex, no violence. You heard me? All right. So man, yeah, man. Hopefully hit us up TuVues podcast gmail.com. All social media platforms. You got any questions, any guidance we can give y'all, any dad jokes y'all want to help Keith out with, our top five, whatever, man. Hey, y'all don't believe us. We like hearing from y'all, man. Like we like hearing from people, like hearing what y'all thinking, as long as it's respectful. You know, we from the south side. We don't play with that disrespect. But yeah. Um we TuVues, man.
Yes, sir.
TuVues.
We
We
out.
out of here, man.